Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and if it's your first time here, then welcome. This is the third crowdfunding roundup for March 2024, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the campaigns that launched between March the 13th and the 19th. I'll be sharing with you my picks among everything that launched during that period. As always, my videos are bookmarked or tabbed, so if you're looking for a specific campaign, you can just scroll over the play bar, see the headings, and jump right to the content that you're looking for. And if any of the campaigns strike a chord for you and you want to go look at the page, possibly back it, I have links to all the campaigns that I'm talking about in the description section below. So you can just look in that section, click on the link, and it will take you right to the campaign. The best way to support this channel is still to like and subscribe, and I really appreciate anyone who wants to go ahead and do that. Without any further ado, let's get started on the first of our 7 campaigns for today. There was an 8th campaign that I hope to include in this video. I'll mention it when we get there, but it's looking like it's not going to fund, so I'm not going to talk about it in detail. So our first campaign for this video is Algae Inc, and this was launched on March the 13th at the beginning of the period. It currently has $23,000, almost $24,000 in funding, which means that it is short of its funding goal. But as someone who's spent a lot of time looking at campaigns, I've learned that most campaigns do about 2/3 of their business in the first 48 hours and 1/3 in the last 24 hours. So that means that, as far as I'm concerned, this campaign, without a doubt, is going to fund. It only needs a few more $1,000s to get there, and that definitely should happen in those last 24 hours, if not before. Now, if we click on this little title card here and flip it over, we'll see that the campaign is going to run until March 31st. So Algae Inc. is brought to us by the publisher Game Brewer. They're probably best known for putting out Chimera Station, Hentes, Gugong, Paris, and Stroganoff. This is a co-design between 2 German designers, Julia Thiemann and Christoph Weige, and they've only designed one game before, which I don't believe was published in America. It was only published in Germany. It's called Kunterpunkt. The artist is Maxime Sarthau, who has also only worked on one game, but her game that she's illustrated previously is Museum Suspects. And this looks to be a medium weight game of tile placement, tableau building, and resource management. Now, you could kind of scroll through these arrows here to get an idea of the gameplay through the GIFs that they have here and the screenshots. But there is no video for this campaign. I like to look at the videos that they put at the top of the page just to give people an idea of the components and what they look like, oftentimes the gameplay. But especially on Gamefound now, we're seeing fewer and fewer videos going up. So this is going to be a video here for us with fewer videos embedded in it than usual. So there are going to be a bunch of campaigns today where we do not have a video to watch. This is one of them. They describe this as Algae Inc. puts you in charge of one of the 4 branches of company dedicated to processing algae into eco-friendly products like cosmetics, bioplastics, biodiesel, and even food. This medium-heavy strategy Eurogame will truly challenge gamers of all levels to try and help grow the company better than the other departments. There, however, is only one pledge for this campaign, and it is called Algae Inc. But before we get there, let's take a little bit of a look at this campaign throughout the page, since there is no video for us to look at. This is themed around algae underwater. It's a tile placement game. This is what the boards and the components are going to look like. It's a little hard to see here. There's not like a blow-up of this. Each player tries to manage their department as efficiently as possible. They will recruit the best personnel, engineers to optimize their production line, scientists to research new technology, and operators to expand their business. But it is an ongoing challenge to balance long-term investment, team growth, and immediate productivity and sales. Okay, and then Game Brewer is also using this as a way to offer their recent titles, including Delta, Trolls and Princesses, and Amygdala. And there aren't pledges that offer those games, but they are available as add-ons. And if we keep scrolling down the page, we will see the single pledge for Algae Inc. This is a $67 pledge. I always mention shipping in my videos, but I am talking about continental US shipping, lower 48. So if you're in Alaska or Hawaii or anywhere else in the world, you will need to adjust the shipping to where you are. So in the continental US, we're looking at $22 of shipping for Algae Inc., which is going to bring the total price tag to $89. And then down here, they list the various add-ons. There's a French rule book, which probably isn't really something that American audiences will want, but if you speak French and you want your game in French with a French rule book, you can add on that French rule book for $1. Now, they have 3 different versions of Trolls and Princesses. There's the standard edition for $51, the Big Nose edition for $89, and the all-in for $116. In order to know what's in the various editions for these, you're probably going to need to go back and look at the campaigns that ran for these games previously, their own campaigns, and I'll show you how to get there in just a minute. They only have one version for Delta, that's the standard edition, $51. They have 3 versions of Amygdala. They've got the standard for $47, the exclusive edition for $71, and the exclusive all-in for $107. They've also got 2 versions of Bone Wars. So the standard edition is down here for $61, and the all-in deluxe is $128. They also have the Stroganoff Deluxe Big Box. This is $123. This is going to come with Turukan included, but if you already have the game previously and you just want to get Turukan, you can add that on for $33. This campaign is going to deliver in October of 2024. But before we depart the page, let's go back up to the top. You can click on the publisher here, Game Brewer, and this is going to give you a list of their previous projects on Gamefound. You can see some of them going back before the ones that are offered, but they've got Rule Benders, Stroganoff, Hippocrates, Paris, that was for the expansion, Paris, El Etoile, the second edition of Palaces of Carrera, Oak, and then here are the ones that we are really concerned with. Amygdala, Delta, Trolls and Princesses, Bone Wars, and Stroganoff Turukan with the big box. So you can click on any of these campaigns, go to the campaign itself, and it will show you the various pledge levels. Like if we look at Amygdala, they've got the pledges on the side here. Now in Amygdala, they've got their exclusive edition listed, and their exclusive all-in. They didn't even offer the standard edition through this campaign. So the standard edition was originally retail only. But if you look through these pages for these various campaigns, you'll be able to see what is in each pledge. You know, what the upgrades were to the deluxe editions. But that's going to wrap our look at Algae Inc. for this week. And we're going to continue on to Baseball Highlights 2045 Bases Loaded Edition plus the new All-Star expansion. Now, this campaign launched on March the 15th. They currently have about $58,000 in funding. That's off of a very tiny $3,500 funding goal. That means they have the highest multiplier of the week because they currently have about 16.5 times their funding goal in funding. And if we flip over this little menu card here, we're going to see that this campaign is going to run until March the 29th. Now, this is coming to us from Eagle Griffin Games. You may know them from such games as The Gallerist, Kanban EV, Lisboa, On Mars, or Through the Ages, both versions of Through the Ages. And Baseball Highlights is designed by Mike Fitzgerald, who's best known for Diamonds, Football Highlights 2052, the Mystery Rummy series, and Wyatt Earp. He's probably actually best known for Baseball Highlights, but I'm giving you his other games that he's known for as well. And then there are 2 artists on this. There's William Bricker. He worked on the original Kanban game, which was called Driver's Edition, not the EV version. He also worked on Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition and Tiny Epic Galaxies. And the other artist is Franz Vohwinkel, who's worked on Beyond the Sun, Clank in Space, Dominion Intrigue, Puerto Rico, and The Quest for El Dorado. And Baseball Highlights is a game of deck building that uses hand management and take that. And whenever we have a game that has pre-existed, which this has, this is a new edition, we can go over to Board Game Geek and take a look at it. Because it's been out. People have voted on it. People have played it. We can get a good look at what people think of it. It has a 7.5 rating on Board Game Geek, which is pretty darn good. And the complexity is rated at 2.19, which is a very light game. I say anything over a 2.0 is in the medium light range. So this is just over that hump, and it's still a pretty light game. And it's for 1 to 4 players. Now, there's, again, no video for this campaign. There are 3 pledges, so we're going to go down here and take a look at some of what they talk about through the page. So the first thing that they talk about here is the Bases Loaded Edition. What is the Bases Loaded Edition, right? It's a new version of the game, and they give it a little descriptor here. So they say that the original Baseball Highlights 2045 was released in 2015. It's had 10 expansions and a roll and write spin-off released over the last 9 years. So they're now bringing the definitive edition of the game, which is going to contain all of the previously released expansions and promo cards, in addition to this all-new All-Star expansion with an additional 12 promo cards. So this is kind of the most inclusive, all-encompassing version that has been produced to date. And included in this is going to be a new base game box with an insert to hold all of the game's content, with 25 included card dividers labeled for each expansion and each of the 12 unique starter teams included in the game. All right, so here's a look at those components. There's a lot of stuff in this, and the price tag is actually very, very reasonable. And then here's a look at this new All-Star expansion. It brings some heavy hitters to the game, as well as the following keywords: Golden Glove, which cancels 3 hits, Magna Glove Plus, which adds an additional effect to the Magna Glove, Bunt, which converts all gloved or canceled hits to bunts, and Leaping Catch, which cancels 2 home runs, and more. So that's the stuff in that new expansion, which is kind of a smaller thing. Now, we've got 3 different pledges to look at. They did have some extra pledges where you could name a promo card. Those were all those were all pledges for 1 backer, and those are all gone. So we're left with these 3 pledges right here. The first one is just for the expansion. So if you have the base game and a lot of the expansions, and you're content with what you have and you just want the new stuff, you want to pledge this All-Star expansion plus 12 new promos for $6. This is going to have $6 in shipping on it, so $12 total. The second pledge level adds some things onto that: the new box, an insert, and card dividers. So this is, again, for someone who has a lot of the other stuff but wants to have a storage solution that will store everything. So those items get added on to the new All-Star expansion and the promo cards. This is a $20 pledge with $9 in shipping for $29 total. And then we have essentially the all-in. This is Baseball Highlights 2045 Bases Loaded Edition. This is $48 for an all-in, which is pretty impressive. Usually if you have an all-in in a game, we're looking at easily over $100. So this is $48 with $13 in shipping, $61 total. That's going to come with everything that you see in these other levels, but also all of those expansions, all of the previous expansions, and the base game, all in this new collector's box. So really kind of everything that has been made before. There are some add-ons here, though, and we'll go down here. So there's card sleeves, and a part of me doesn't like how they've done this, because they come 100 in a pack for $10, and if we click on this, we will see that Baseball Highlights Bases Loaded Edition comes with 403 cards, which means you need to add on 5 of these for $50, and you're going to have 97 sleeves left over. Now, it does sound like they're going to continue producing more content for this, so you could just put those sleeves in the bottom of your box and keep them for when more expansions get added along the way. They also have neoprene single-player mats coming in sets of 2. This is a game that can be played up to 4 players. So if you're just planning on playing it with 2 people at home, with a family member, just the 2 of you, you only need 1 of these. If you plan on playing it at a 4-player count and you want to have neoprene player mats for everyone, then you'll want to add on 2 of these. You can also add on some custom meeples to deluxify your game. This add-on is $10, and this is not included in any of the pledges. Actually, none of this stuff is. So if you want any of these things, you will need to add them on. And then finally, there is a card divider add-on here for $4. These are discontinued teams. So in the new version, they've taken a lot of the same cards, their mechanics, and they've created some new players and teams around them. It says here, 12 of the previously released starter teams are being discounted as they are mechanically duplicates of the unique starter teams in the basis loaded edition. These 12 card dividers are labeled as those starter teams on one side for those who own those cards. Alternatively, the other side has no labels and can be used as dividers for other purposes. So this would be only for someone that has the previous version of the game and wants to have dividers for those older teams that have been kind of reworked, if you're planning on keeping that. Which, I mean, if you own it, I think you would. Okay, so those are all the add-ons that are available, and again, they're all things that you will need to add on to your pledge. They're not included in the various pledges. But if we look over here at the pledges themselves, we can see that this campaign is being planned to deliver in March of 2025. Now, from here, we're going to go to our third and final Gamefound campaign. This is for the Dead Keep, and this is actually a pre-order. That means that they don't have a funding goal. They don't have kind of numbers or totals. So we don't really know how well they're doing. And that's fine because it's a pre-order. So when you pledge this, you're just pre-ordering. This isn't like a crowdfunding campaign. And I think it's smart of CMON to be doing this because they get criticized a lot for their games essentially being pre-orders. And I know that they've signed an exclusive contract with Gamefound, so they're not going to be using Kickstarter anymore. And so I think this might be a way for CMON just to kind of experiment with the pre-order system on Gamefound and see how that's going to work. And then in the future, they'll make some choices between whether they want to do pre-orders or full campaigns or both. They do have a campaign coming up for God of War game, and I know they are planning on doing that one as a full campaign and not a pre-order. So we'll be able to see the differences between these 2 campaigns. Okay, so there's no campaign end date with this, which is the bigger problem. Like, it's one thing if we can't see the funding numbers, that doesn't really matter, especially if it's a pre-order, but it sure would be nice to know when this pre-order is going to come down and end. But I haven't been able to find that information anywhere. I've even asked it in the comments and I haven't gotten a reply. So just know that this campaign is here, but we don't know, I don't know when the campaign is going to end. You probably know CMON from such games as Ankh, Gods of Egypt, Blood Rage, Cthulhu Death May Die, Rising Sun, and the Zombicide series. And this particular game, The Dead Keep, is a co-design between Raphael Guiton, Jean-Baptiste Lulien, and Nicolas Raoul. And all 3 of those designers have worked together previously on Hate, Massive Darkness, and a lot of the Zombicide games. And the art for this is by Paul Bonner. In fact, it was inspired and based on his art. He's worked on a lot of CMON games in the past. In fact, the stuff that he's best known for is Arcana, Magic the Gathering, Mutant Chronicles, Siege of the Citadel, Space Marine, and Trudvang Legends. Trudvang Legends was a campaign that CMON ran in the past. So this game was conceived and features exclusively Paul Bonner art. Now, it's a dungeon crawler, and it plays 1 to 6 players. There is a 1.5 minute video, so we're going to take a look at that video, the first video here of this video, and then we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at the only pledge available to you because it's a pre-order. So the way that they're running this is you've got 1 pledge, and then there's 1 add-on with an expansion. So you can either just get the pledge or pre-order the pledge plus the add-on. So let's take a look at the video and then we'll go over the content that's in this campaign. So if we scroll down the page here, well, let's read their why pre-order now. Okay, so let's take a look at some of this page here. Their text says, embark on an adventure with the Dead Keep, a cooperative dungeon diving campaign designed for 1 to 6 players. So it plays up to 6. Immerse yourself in the fantastical artwork crafted from the original designs of renowned artist Paul Bonner. As fearless adventurers, you'll plunge into the depths of the Dead Keep, driven by the promise of untold riches from the enigmatic patron. Will you unravel the secrets lurking within, or will the mist claim you? A cooperative dungeon diving game for 1 to 6 players. So, the pledge itself is going to come with the Dead Keep, and as a pre-order exclusive, you're getting this secret alcove with more adventures and enemies. Now, there is one add-on. It's for the Goblin Chaos expansion, an expansion introducing the unpredictable antics of goblin adventurers, goblin enemies, and new quests. And that also comes with a pre-order exclusive, which is this Troll Rider, a terrifying monster challenge. Now, what all this means is that if this does go to retail eventually, you will not be seeing these pre-order exclusives packaged in. They'll definitely be... The Goblin Chaos expansion will definitely be sold separately, but if they do decide to sell the Secret Alcove and the Troll Rider, those will be separate from each of the things that they're attached to in this campaign as well. Okay, now if we go to the rewards down here, we can see the price tag. The pre-order price tag is $160. Now, another thing that CMON hasn't really worked out seemingly with this is that not only do we not know when this pre-order ends, they also do not list shipping anywhere in this campaign. And normally with CMON campaigns and products, they have shipping estimates very high. Usually the shipping is about half the cost of the game. And I think in today's climate, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because so many other companies try to lowball shipping, and then with everything that's been going on globally with shipping and production overseas and things like that, shipping costs can escalate, and then it can put companies out of business, or they have to come back and ask for more money after the fact. No one wants to do either one of those things. I mean, going out of business, that's the end of your company. And having to ask for additional shipping after the fact, that's just a terrible look, and it makes people never want to back things with you again. So CMON, I think, has erred on the other side, estimating very high shipping. They also have miniatures-heavy games, which means that there's a lot of weight, and the shipping is legitimately high for a lot of their stuff. So you could assume that the shipping may be up to $80 for this, but it's hard to know because they have not given us estimates. So I'm just going to say that. I'm going to err on the side of caution, and I'm going to say if you're backing this, expect that shipping could be up to $80, and this pledge price, this pre-order, could be up to $240. They do have that one add-on for that Goblin Chaos expansion plus the Troll Rider statue. That's an additional $50. Could be an additional $25 in shipping. So if you're getting the whole thing, if this ends up being $240 and this ends up being $75, you're looking at about $315 for the whole thing. All right. And then if we look back up here, we can see that they're planning on delivering this in March 2025, which is kind of funny for a pre-order, right? I mean, you'd think that with a pre-order, the game's already produced and it's already ready to go, and it should be delivering very soon. Not the case. So even though CMON, gets criticized for putting up games that are essentially pre-orders, in this case, they have a pre-order for a game that is not going to be ready to ship for a year. Interesting, I think. The fourth and final campaign I was going to show you on Gamefound was for a different version of the Fox Experiment, which was a recent crowdfunding delivery from Pandasaurus Games from designer Elizabeth Hargrave, who's the designer of Wingspan. And I guess some people didn't like the plastic components of the Fox Experiment. And so they've gone sort of back to the lab, and they've come out with a new campaign where everything is deluxe wooden resources. And that's on Gamefound if you want to go look for it. But it's not going to fund. It's not high enough in its funding already to make that last third in the last 24 hours. I think it's under 50% of its funding goal, which is a sign to me that it's not going to fund. And I never share campaigns that aren't basically guaranteed to fund. So we're not looking at the Fox experiment today, the deluxe wooden edition. But if you want to go and take a look at it and, pledge it and hope that it does fund, you could do that. It's on Gamefound. Instead, we're going to go and look at the 3 final campaigns of the video, and these are all on Kickstarter. So as we head into the final 3 campaigns of the video, the final 4 campaigns of the video, the Kickstarter campaigns, these are all March 19th launches. So they launched on Tuesday of this week. It's the big day for board gaming Kickstarters usually. Okay, so the first one is Requiem, Downfall of Magic. This is from Ludus Magnus Studios. They've currently got about $217,000 in funding. That's off of a $108,000 funding goal. So they're at about double that funding goal right now. And the campaign is going to run until April the 5th. Now, Ludus Magnus Studio has made games such as Black Rose Wars, DEI Divide et Impera, Dungeonology The Expedition, Nova Edis, Renaissance, and Scene Tempore. And they do a very interesting thing where a lot of their games are all linked by lore. So they're all set in the same world, often at different times throughout history, but they have the same lore and some of the same characters. And if you own all of their games and play a lot of their games, you'll see things that happened in certain games at an earlier time period that evolved, or how they changed into things that happen in games later that are set at later time periods. I think it's really fascinating, but to get the full effect of that, you really need to be a Ludus Magnus fan and own a lot of their games. This game is designed by Leonardo Romanu, who's really only has one published game, and that is Sanctuary, the Keeper's Era from Tabula Games. There are a couple of artists on this, 4 of them actually. Eleanor Lisi, who's worked on Black Rose Wars expansion, The Breach, which is another game from Ludus Magnus that is hopefully releasing later this year, but it's not released yet. The second artist is Simone Murgia, who also worked on The Breach, and then a game called Radetzky Milano 1848. Also Christian Casado Atazu, who's worked on Black Rose Wars Rebirth, Firefly the Game 10th Anniversary Collector's Edition, and Inferno, which was a campaign that was just up. It just funded fairly recently. And then the 4th and final artist is Giovanni Parada, who's worked on pretty much all Ludus Magnus games. He seems to be like an in-house artist. And so he's worked on all of the games that I listed at the top that are games that Ludus Magnus has published. Now, this is a cooperative map-based adventure game. It plays up to 4 players, and it uses mechanics like action points, dice rolling, movement points, narrative choice, pick up and deliver, and variable player powers. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this 4-minute video, and then we will look at the 3 pledges. Now, only one of those pledges actually offers Requiem. 2 of those pledges are for other Ludus Magnus games, but we'll get to that when we go down and look at the pledges.
The Black Rose Lodge has been destroyed, and now magic is out of control. The Order cannot tolerate this blasphemy. Cardinal Vincenzo has sent you after Cosma, who is trying to revive his mentor Rebecca. Such an abomination cannot be allowed. Thus, he called upon an old friend in this fight against magic. Requiem, Downfall of Magic is a cooperative narrative campaign for 1 to 4 players. The characters are each unique and deeply developed, and their distinct traits change the approach of the game. Agnes excels in battle. Valerio is the master of equipment. Beatrice supports the party with her skills, and Melchior leads his beasts in combat and exploration. Completing quests will level up your characters, enhancing their attributes and unlocking new skills. Requiem introduces a smart action management system to blend players' turns with 0 downtime. players will be able to alternate their moves with a continuous exchange of actions in frantic shared turns. Actions can be performed in different combinations, giving the chance for optimized turn planning. You will explore this dark world, finding mysterious events to solve. Through the Discovery books, you will be presented with choices that can lead to new quests for the party.
This is indeed the Forsaken Church of which the poor man spoke.
Brother, is that you?
No, do not fear. Ludwig sent us here.
Convincing companions to follow you will be crucial to the success of your quests. But beware, it is a hostile world. Work together to defeat the most dangerous of enemies, making combos between equipment and attacks. Be wary, as they will fight back, also using their peculiar skills. Defeating them will allow you to progress in the story of the game and to collect incredible treasures. The heroes will be called upon to face the key characters in Requiem's story. You will come across bosses with their own artificial intelligence, with ever-changing behaviors that will put your skills to the test. Each boss has its own unique way to win the fight by conquering achievements. During the fight, they will gain new skills and become stronger. Set in 1500s Germany, Requiem's storyline will take you through an exciting campaign with multiple endings. Choose your own path before your time runs out, and prepare yourself to face the final, inevitable enemy, death. Will you be able to confront death itself? Or will she be the one to write your Requiem?
Okay, we don't need to wait for the rest of the music. Let's take a look at the pledges. All right, so the first one is this Adventurer Pledge. And this is a pledge for Nova Edis Renaissance. It's going to include the Nova Edis Adventurer Pack and the Chronicles box. Now, what is that? We'll get to that in just a minute. But this is a $64 pledge with $17 in shipping, or $81 total. And then the second pledge is for Black Rose Wars. It's similar. It's got the Magician Pack for Black Rose Wars and that same Chronicles box. And it's also a $64 pledge with $17 in shipping for $81 total. Then the sole pledge for Requiem is this third and final pledge. It's called the Order, and that's going to get you Requiem, Gifts of Death, and the Abomination, which is a Kickstarter exclusive. This is a $162 pledge with $35 in shipping for $197 total. All right, what is all this stuff, right? So the first thing I want to show you is how this campaign works, right? And they talk about the Abomination quest. This is the Kickstarter exclusive. It says, throughout the campaign, updates will invite you as a member of Tolentans to choose how to build your abomination. Like novice Frankensteins, we will work together to decide the characteristics of the perfect creature by morphing and implementing the Vitruvian man hanging from the Wheel of Pain. We will periodically update the image with your input, and at the end of the campaign, we will begin sculpting the resulting miniature. Okay, cool. Let's go down a little bit further and take a look at the other stuff here. There's some stretch goals, and then there's the pledges. So this is the pledge here that is the game that's being advertised. But then there are these other pledges. So there's this Magician Pack for Black Rose Wars, and then there's the Adventure Pack for Nova Edis Renaissance. And they kind of tell you what's in each thing there, but essentially, Nova Edis Chronicles. As Ludus Magnus, one of our focuses has always been to create a complete and complex world, realistic but spotted with fantasy elements. A world where one could mirror oneself without too much recognition. This is the order in which our games are placed in our timeline. Scene Tempore, Runar, Dungeonology, Nova Edis Renaissance, Black Rose Wars, Requiem, so that's the new one, Black Rose Wars Rebirth, The Breach, and finally DEI. And they talk a little bit about this. So the Nova Edis Renaissance Adventure Pack is going to come with these things. 2 hero sheets, 2 hero skill sheets, equipment cards, destiny card, enemy draft cards, mission cards, activation cards, event cards, reward cards, and activation tokens. So it is more content for Nova Edis Renaissance. And then there's a similar pack here for Black Rose Rebirth. So these are kind of smaller expansions. And then, this is only available as an add-on here. We'll get to that in a minute, but this is called Istvan, and this can be used in any 3 of those games. Black Rose Rebirth, Nova Edis Renaissance, or Requiem. Okay? And then here's the Chronicle pack that they were talking about that comes with the first 2 pledges. And this can be used not with Requiem, but with Black Rose Wars Rebirth or Nova Edis Renaissance. And it's going to include 4 miniatures, and it's $44 as an add-on. If you wanted to add on any of the other packs, let's say you're getting Requiem, but you want to get the other stuff, they're available here too as add-ons. They're $20 each as an add-on. The Adventure Pack for Nova Edis, and the Magician Pack for Black Rose Wars Rebirth. And then the price on this Istvan, which is the only way to get this, is as an add-on. So if you're pledging Requiem and you want this as well, you'll need to add this on. It's $24. I should mention that if you're doing the order pledge, it's $162 with $35 in shipping, $197 total. And then if you add on Istvan for $24, you're going to bring your all-in total to $221. So that would be, kind of the high pledge amount for this. Unless you're also adding on, the Magician Pack or the Adventure Pack. And then finally, Requiem is going to deliver in June of 2025. So that brings us to a very different type of game, which is River Valley Glassworks. They currently have $251,000 in funding off of a $20,000 funding goal, which means they're doing about 12 and a half times that funding goal currently. And we can see down here that this campaign will run until April the 4th. So this is being published by Allplay, who's best known for Bytes, Couture, Mindspace, Sail, and the new version of Through the Desert. It's by 3 different designers who have all worked on French Quarter and Motor City together. Adam Hill has also worked on Godspeed, and Ben Pinchback and Matt Riddle together have also worked on Fleet the Dice Game and Three Sisters, and then there were 2 of the group of designers that created Wasteland Express delivery service. And the art on River Valley Glassworks is by Andrew Bosley, who's probably best known for Kalis 1303, Everdell, Love Letter, Merchants of the Dark Road, and Tapestry. And this is a very light game. It's got tile placement and pattern building. There is a video which you could watch, but it doesn't really say much. It kind of just gives us quotes from reviewers and content creators talking about what they thought about the game, but it doesn't really show you much. You can watch this video if you want, but I don't think I'm going to waste time showing it. The one thing that I will say is that one of the reviewers compared the game favorably to Azul, saying that this is kind of like Allplay's take on Azul. So instead, we're just going to go down here. We're going to dive into the 7 different pledges here. And what's interesting a little bit is that they're also offering a game called Lure. And there's actually more pledges in this campaign for Lure than there are for River Valley Glassworks. And the first pledge is just for Lure by itself. Well, not completely by itself, because it comes with an expansion which is called Deep Waters. But this game, this Lure pledge, has a $19 pledge with $4 in shipping for $23 total. I should also mention that Allplay is keeping the shipping very cheap, so no matter what you back, I think up to 2 different games even, your shipping will only be $4, which is amazing. So they've already kind of baked in a lot of the shipping into the price of the pledges, I think. Our next pledge level up is for the River Valley Glassworks Retail Edition. This is a $39 pledge with $4 in shipping for $43 total. So this will come with the retail version of the game and a first player statue. And then the next pledge level combines that pledge level with the first pledge level for Lure. So you'll be getting both River City Glassworks, the standard edition, with that little extra first player statue, and then Lure with its Deep Waters expansion. This is a $56 pledge with $4 in shipping for $60 total. Now, we could go over here and look at the retail edition. So this will show you what is in the retail edition. That's what it's going to look like. Remember this drawstring bag because there is an alternative to this that they offer in the add-ons. You've got acrylic river glass pieces. And then if we go down and look and see what gets upgraded in the deluxe edition, well, there's going to be spot UV and gold foil on the box, acrylic river tiles, a neoprene River Valley playmat, and a deluxe glass bag here, as well as 5 dual layer glasswork boards, and 5 dual layer river pans, and 5 inventory markers. I mean, I think this is the version that I'd be getting of it, but I do like the luxified versions. So the next pledge level up here is for that deluxe version. It's a $69 pledge, $4 in shipping, $73 total. And then we have a version of that pledge that also includes Lure and its expansion. This is an $86 pledge with $4 in shipping for $90 total. Also, all of the bundles basically save you $6 off of the individual things. So if you're, pledging here for the deluxe version and Lure bundled together, you'd be paying $6 less than pledging those 2 pledges separately. And that's consistent. Every bundle is a $6 savings. The final 2 pledges are for the River Valley Glassworks Founders Edition. This is an $89 pledge with $4 in shipping or $93 total. This is going to take that deluxe version of the game and then add on to that a box sleeve, glass pieces, and an all-play medallion. If we go down here and look at the medallion, this is what it looks like. It's got this code on the back. It's included in all pledges $89 and up, so that's the 2 founders pledges. It says the all-play medallion features a 6-digit code on the back. You'll be able to use it to redeem a future all-play tiny game. The 4 above are the ones we've teased for previous backers of our campaigns. So this will get you a tiny game in the future. And then the final pledge here is for another bundle. It is for the Founders Edition with Lure. It's $106, $4 in shipping, $110 total, and that again will save you $6 versus getting the Founders Edition separately and Lure separately. If we go to the add-on section, I think there is one listed. Perhaps they don't actually have it on the left side, but we can go down into the details section. Okay. And if you look at any of the pledges, they're going to list various things. So I think the most notable is this deluxe mosaic stand-up bag. I kind of pointed out that in the standard version of the game, it's just a cloth bag. In the deluxe version, you're getting this bag. But if you don't want the full deluxe version, you want the standard version with the nicer bag, you could just add this on to the standard version for $4. They've also got the various pledges that you can kind of add on as well, so you could add on another copy of that pledge, and they do that with almost every pledge. And then the one other item that's kind of nestled in amongst these is a board game bag that you can add on for $59. So All Play got their start doing board game bags, board game tables, and then they also started publishing games. And so they have continued to do tables and bags. They don't offer tables as add-ons because they're way too expensive, but they do offer bags and sometimes other merchandise as add-ons. And so here you could get a board game bag if you wanted to add that on for $59. And then if we look at any of the pledges, we'll see that River Valley Glassworks is currently intended to ship out in September 2024, which is a lot sooner than the CMON pre-order for the Dead Keep. But there's a lot less involved component-wise. From there, we're going to head to Shogun Revised Edition. This is from Queen Games. This had a March 19th launch, and they currently have $59,000 in funding off of a $5,000 funding goal, which puts them at almost 12 times that funding goal. This is being put out by Queen Games, who are probably best known for Alhambra, Amerigo, Fresco, Lancaster, and Marrakesh, in addition to Shogun. And the campaign is going to run until April the 3rd. Now, Shogun is designed by Dirk Henn, who's also known for Alhambra and Wallenstein. Wallenstein and Shogun are essentially the same game, but just with a different theme behind them. Shogun obviously is set in Japan, and they both are area control games that use a very prominent cube tower. The art on Shogun is from Michael Menzel, who's worked on Bruges, Dominion, Dominion Intrigue, My City, and Stone Age. And this is another game that has existed for quite a while, so we can go over look at it on Board Game Geek. First published in 2006 here. And we can see that it has a 7.5 rating, which is pretty good. It is a 3.36 complexity, which is, I would say anything over a 3.33 is into the heavy range. So this is considered to be a heavy game. And we should also make note that the player count is for 3 to 5 players. So you won't be playing this solo, and you will not be playing this at a 2-player count. So just know if this is something you want to get, that you do need 3 players to play this. There's things going on with area control and kind of bidding and stuff like that where you need more than 2 players to really do this effectively. Okay. There's also no video for this campaign. Queen Games doesn't usually offer videos. So we're just going to go ahead and take a look at the 5 pledges. 5 pledges for the revised edition because they offer some various permutations. So for this new revised edition, they've created a new dice tower that's got some inlays. So if you have like the old version of the game and you really just want the new dice tower, you can pledge for just that. It's $15. It's also available as an add-on. And they don't list shipping for this, so I do not know what shipping will be for this, but presumably it's going to be more than $15 once you figure in shipping. The second pledge level is for the Shogun upgrade kit. And in fact, let's take a look at that first. So the Shogun upgrade kit is basically improved components, lots of plastic. It updates a lot of the components from the base game. So if you have a previous version of the game and you just want the improved components, you could just get this upgrade kit. This is a $58 pledge. There's only 3 left. So if you don't jump on this really fast, this could go away. And in fact, when I prepped this video, this was sold out. So 3 of the backers have either decided to upgrade to a different pledge or just have decided not to pledge. But this could sell out very quickly again. And there is no shipping associated with this either. So I pretty much guarantee you it's going to be more than $58 once you add on shipping. But Queen Games has not provided shipping for this pledge level. So here is the first pledge with the new revised edition. Let's take a look at what that is. Let's go back up the page a bit. So the revised edition here is going to include the new dice tower, and it's also going to include this expansion called Tenno's Court. Also got Wooden Samurai in that. So that is what is involved in this version of the game. This is a $59 pledge with $29 in shipping, $79 total. Now if we go down a little bit further, this one is back as well. This was gone when I prepped the video. But there is an early bird for the revised version with the upgrade kit. So this is another pledge that has kind of reappeared and wasn't available when I prepped the video. There's only one of these available right now. But this is a $99 pledge with $28 in shipping or $127 total. And this is going to get you this new version of the game plus that upgrade kit. So better components. Once that's gone, you can still get it. You're just going to be paying $20 more. And there's only 18 left of these as well. So this is a $119 pledge with $28 in shipping for $147 total. Then we've got the big box. This is essentially everything that's in the revised edition plus 3 more expansions. And then bundled in with this is the upgrade kit. This is a $148 pledge with $38 in shipping or $186 total. And then we've got a similar pledge for Wallenstein, which is almost the same game but with a different theme behind it, so it's not set in Japan. This is a $149 pledge, also with $38 in shipping for $187 total. And then if you wanted both, I don't know why you'd want kind of two versions of the same game with different theming, but if you do, you get both the Shogun Big Box with the upgrade kit and the Wallenstein Big Box with the upgrade kit. It's a $298 pledge, and all of this stuff is shooting to deliver in October of 2024. And that brings us to our final video of the week for Super Boss Monster. They've got $495,000 in funding, $498,000 in funding off of a $50,000 funding goal. So they're currently operating at about 10 times that funding goal. This campaign also was a March 19th launch, and it will run until April the 4th. Now, this is from Brotherwise Games, who've put out Boss Monster, Call to Adventure, Overboss, and Unearth. And it's designed by two designers, Johnny O'Neill, who is one of the 3 original designers of Boss Monster. He's also worked on Call to Adventure. The other 2 designers of Boss Monster, I believe, are his brothers, but they're not involved in Super Boss Monster. Instead, he's working with a co-designer named Hayden Dillard, who's previously worked on Castles by the Sea Riptide. And there are not any listed artists for Super Boss Monster, but previous editions of Boss Monster have had a bunch of artists. Too many, I think, to go over, especially considering that I don't know which of them are involved in this. So we're not going to talk about the artist. I will mention that if we go over here and we look at the original Boss Monster, which came out in 2013, it is a light game of hand management, player elimination, take that, and variable player powers. And the rating on this is it's okay. But maybe the expansions and then this new version will add a lot of things to that and make it more worth your while and increase that score. But essentially in Boss Monster, what you're doing is you're sort of the dungeon master, the dungeon overlord, and you're creating dungeons that you want these various heroes to navigate. Okay, so let's start by taking a look at the 1.5 minute video, and then we'll go over the, I think it's 5 pledges.
For 10 years, one dungeon building card game has ruled the tabletop. With over 1 million copies sold and an army of expansions, players across the country and around the world, one Boss Monster has reigned supreme. But change is inevitable, and a final boss has taken the field. Super Boss Monster is the next generation of Boss Monster, whether you're a new player or an experienced villain. Just like the original Boss Monster, your job is to build the perfect dungeon to lure and destroy pesky heroes. Let too many heroes stack up in town, and they'll move to the town's landmarks, gaining boosts that make them tougher to slay. Action spots not occupied by heroes can be activated by your minion for game-changing strategies that can make or break your turn. The board also gives you more control over building rooms. Now you'll drop cards from a central market, allowing you to fine-tune your dungeon like never before. All your original Boss Monster sets are 100% compatible with Super Boss Monster. And you can store the entire collection in the new Boss Monster Big Box. Draft rooms, build your dungeon, draw in heroes, and destroy them. Back and badder than ever, it's Super Boss Monster. Super Boss Monster. Now you're slaying with power.
So the original game was kind of a small box card game, and then they added on a lot of other expansions to it. And so what we're seeing with this is, first of all, a collector's box where you can have all the expansions and store everything together. But also they seem to have upgraded it from kind of a smaller card game to more of a board game with additional mechanics. All right, so the pledges here. We start with Minion, which is a $30 pledge with $10 of shipping, $40 total. That's going to get you Super Boss Monster and the Kickstarter pack with promo cards. So the new version of the game and promo cards. If you decide to pledge at the boss level, which is $45 with $12 in shipping or $57 total, that's going to get you everything in the previous pledge, plus a neoprene town mat, which is that main board, and wooden game tokens, so upgraded from cardboard. If you'd like to pledge at the Super Boss level, it's a $75 pledge with $15 in shipping, $90 total. You're going to be getting everything from the previous pledge levels, plus that big storage box. From there, we go to the final boss pledge level. This is a $90 pledge with $17 of shipping, $107 total. That's everything from the previous pledge levels. Plus now you're getting 4 neoprene player mats. So in addition to the main kind of town neoprene player mat. And then finally, we've got the ultimate starter set for $175 with $25 in shipping, $200 total. That's going to take everything from the previous pledge levels, and then it's going to add on the original game, but the 10th anniversary version of the game, and then all 6 expansions. So if you're wanting everything, this is definitely where you want to go. And keeping in mind, none of the pledge levels except for this ultimate starter set will include the base game. However, let's take a look at add-ons. So there is no add-on section. You can't add things during this campaign, but they've got this little note here saying, after this campaign, we'll use our Backer Kit Pledge Manager to offer a full range of Brotherwise Games products. Add-ons for Super Boss Monster will include card sleeves, wooden tokens, play mats, the expansions, the hard-to-find promo packs, and a new Kickstarter exclusive reprints pack. And that's in addition to their other games. So presumably, almost anything that you'll want to add on, you will be able to do in the Pledge Manager. So if you, let's say you have the base game and you have a few of the expansions, so you don't want to, do the all-in and kind of duplicate what you have, you should be able to add on the expansions that you're missing in the Pledge Manager, but you cannot do it right now during the campaign. And then finally, Super Boss Monster is currently slated to deliver in March of 2025. So that is the 7 campaigns that I wanted to share with you this week. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll be back next week looking at more campaigns. I think because March is kind of a long month, and we had 1 week that was largely kind of the February overlap was largely March, and then the April overlap will also be largely March days. We're actually going to have 5 crowdfunding roundups for the month of March. So next week will be the 4th one. And I know that in that video, we'll probably be looking at Reign of Hades from Legend Crafters. We'll definitely be looking at the Mythwind reprint from Open Owl Studios. And I'll also probably be featuring Wicked and Wise Reflections, which is the new Wicked and Wise expansion campaign from Weird Giraffe Games. And that one's on Backer Kit. So Mythwind, I believe, is going to be on Kickstarter. Wicked and Wise is on Backer Kit, and Reign of Hades is on Gamefound. And then we'll just see what launches in the next week and what launches next Tuesday. And come join me next week for another video looking at all of those launches, or at least my picks from among those launches. If you haven't liked and subscribed yet, but you'd still like to support the channel, consider doing that now. And until next time, take care. Have a great weekend and a great week. I hope you get some really good gaming in, and I'll see you very soon in the next one.